If you're after a four-wheel drive dual cab ute, the good news is you've got plenty of options right now. The BT-50 seems to have kind of got lost a bit as new brands come in. It's not as prominent as it used to be. To try and change that, Mazda has applied some changes and some refresh trimmings and so on for the 2025 model. Here I'm testing the BT-50 GT trim level, so this sits one below the flagship SP. And yeah, it's got an updated look. Black grille at the front, little vertical grills in the side here, also in black, and then some new look alloy wheels. I'm not a fan of these wheels. They kind of look like the wheels on the bottom of a piece of furniture. But yeah, they've got a new look anyway. They're 18 inches and they're wrapped in highway terrain tyres. This has also got the side step and then nothing in the back, no cover over the back here, just a tub liner. The tailgate is damped, so you've got one on the left and right just to help it open up nice and smoothly. And yeah, a decent piece of room there for carrying cargo. For this test, I'm going to take the SP for an off-road drive, and then for this, we'll just go for a bit of an on-road drive. It's basically the same as the Isuzu D-Max. It's completely, entirely based on a D-Max, so same running gear, same chassis, same engine and transmission. It's just Mazda applies its own styling tweaks. Inside, it's even D-Max as well. The console and everything, the cup holders, which are a bit too deep for a normal coffee cup, because it actually pops the lid off. And then the touchscreen as well is all D-Max. Even the seats are pretty much identical to the D-Max. And then in the back, you've got climate vents, a USB port, just like the D-Max, a little hook for your shopping, and a flip-down armrest with twin cup holders. Decent amount of room back here. I mean, it's not the biggest in this class, but it's definitely comfortable for two large adults on the outside, and then if you really want to squeeze one in the middle, it's still okay in the middle. Yeah, it would have been nice if Mazda fit its own interface here, the media interface, because this is pretty basic. You've got your car settings and so on. You can turn all the safety systems off pretty easily. You've got this steering wheel button on the steering wheel. You just hold that down, that turns the lane keep assist off, but you still have speed warning and all that sort of stuff. I think it's a little bit over the top. It just needs a bit more calibration in my opinion, most of this stuff. But yeah, it's easily accessible. Hit the car button and you're straight there. It's just a bit basic in terms of the graphics and so on. I think the Mazda system is much better with the little hand controller down on the console as well. That'd be nice. And it'll just give it a bit more of an edge compared with the D-Max. Who knows though, maybe Isuzu didn't want Mazda to use its own stuff. Otherwise it would be more attractive maybe, I don't know. In terms of the driving character, yeah, this is pretty much the same as the D-Max. I think it feels pretty good. The ride is okay. It's not too jiggly compared with some rivals, but it still has that good towing capacity, 3.5 tons, good payload as well, depending on the variant, around 1,000 kilograms. I think this is a good balance. In terms of this transmission, I think it pairs well with this engine. It's only 6 gears and it's only 450 Newton meters, but it seems to pull through the ratios. They're pretty long-legged. It seems to pull through them quite easily and effortlessly. I mean, it's no sports car, but as you'll see in the upcoming performance test, these are among the quickest mainstream diesel 4-cylinder dual cab 4x4 utes you can get, basically, which is surprising considering it doesn't have class-leading power or torque. The engine is pretty noisy, yeah, it's a big capacity engine, so big pistons, it's going to make some racket, but it's not too bad once you're cruising. It just sort of hums along. Like right now I'm doing 70 kilometers an hour, it's barely ticking over 1,000 RPM, it's about 1,200 RPM there, or 1,100 even. So yeah, the revs don't need to be that high, and so it can remain quiet when you're cruising. In terms of the handling, I like the steering system in the Mazda BT-50 and the D-Max for that matter. I like the steering wheel as well. It's quite a little sporty steering wheel, 3-spoke, or 4 if you include the bottom bit there. But yeah, it feels pretty good to drive. It feels nimble from behind the wheel. Even though this is, over 5 meters long, it feels from behind the wheel like nimble. You can just throw it around, or not throw it around, but dart around traffic and so on. It doesn't feel like a big cumbersome truck. In terms of fuel economy, I'm averaging 8.4 litres per 100 kilometres. That's over a distance of 500 kilometres. I think that's really good for a big, 2-ton 4-wheel drive ute like this. 8.4 in the real world. And for the performance you're getting, as I said, you'll see coming up, the performance is actually pretty good. I reckon that's a really good balance, and I guess that's why the D-Max and the BT-50, not so much the BT-50, but the D-Max has really held sales and is the third best seller so far. It is jiggling about a bit on this very poor surface here. There's lots of patchwork and so on, but once you load the vehicle up a little bit, it starts to settle down some more. But yeah, this is a very bad road. It's got little ripples and all sorts of stuff in it. I think I know most rivals are pretty much the same as this or worse. All right, let's see how it goes with some off-roading. As I said, I'm going to take the SP for the off-road portion of this video, and then we'll do the performance test of this GT model. All right, here we are at the hill. I've got the SP version for this. So this has got the accessory bull bar fitted, nice big LED light strip as well. But yeah, this should provide plenty of approach angle there. It does feature normal highway terrain tires, and it's been pouring down rain pretty much all morning, so it'll be interesting to see how it gets up here. It's very wet, but it's a very steep hill with lots of rocks and so on, so most of the water sort of drains down the hill. It's not going to be sitting within the middle of the hill kind of thing, but we'll see how we go, and I'll try and put the camera on the outside so you can see as well. Going with the SP gets you these cool two-tone seats as well. They're actually quite nice. It's like a Alcantara style of suede trim in the middle. You've got some contrast stitching across the dash as well. I'm just going to put it straight into low range because, yeah, I don't think it's going to go up in just normal H4. I mean, it might, but it's probably a little bit dangerous because if the wheels are spinning too fast, that's when I find the vehicle is more likely to slide around more, like as in jump to the sides even more. So we'll just put it straight into low range. This is the same as the Isuzu D-Max, obviously. The rough terrain mode essentially provides traction control for the front axle even if you have the rear diff locked. I might just try it without the diff lock to start with and see how much wheel spin we've got, and I'll do it again and I'll hit the rear diff lock. But yeah, the rough terrain mode, normally when you hit a diff lock, it turns stability and traction control completely off, or it did, you know, a few years ago and beyond. These days they've got pretty clever traction control systems that can separate the front axle from the back, so the rear axle can be locked, and that doesn't matter, that can't have any sort of braking applied to it obviously, and then the front is independent and has separate control. But we'll see how we go, just in low range without the diff locked first. I'll just go really slowly, let it just crawl up. As I said in the last time I came here, there's a bit of a chunk taken out of the big mound on the left side. Okay, we're getting a bit of wheel spin, but it's catching on. Getting a bit of slip happening, a bit more power. Yeah, that's not going up. It's just spinning the wheels too much, I think. So we'll try out the diff lock. I don't know if it's going to actually help because we need traction. We don't need yeah, I just don't think it's going to make any difference. It's going to, both wheels are spinning at the same time regardless. We'll see how we go. Nice and easy. Yep. Just give it a bit more power, a bit more. Sliding around a fair bit. But we got there in the end. How good's that? That was very, very slippery. It's sliding sideways and all four wheels are basically spinning. We'll check out the footage from the outside because that was, yeah, pretty hairy but very challenging. Look at the marks we've left there. It's just ripped up the top surface, and then there seems to be a little bit of dry stuff down below, like underneath the first, you know, inch of mud. You can see down at the beginning there, it's pretty much dry dirt. It's been very dry lately, but we've just had rain all morning basically. This is with the standard tire pressures, by the way. I haven't let any air out of the tires. They're at the placard recommended pressure. Okay, now we'll try out this right hand side, or coming up right hand side. It's got a lot of moguls and so on. There's a bit of standing water in one of them I can see, but we'll see how we go up that as well. But that's pretty impressive considering this has highway terrain tires. You could see then that it's really spinning the wheels. It just doesn't have the bite, the clawing grip in the ground. It's just spinning over the top, but it's still got up anyway. Get a bit of flex happening down through here. The back wheel off the ground a bit. I find it a bit annoying when you put these four-wheel drives and utes or whatever in low range, the parking sensors are still going off. It should automatically turn the parking sensors off because it knows you're going in more challenging conditions and you're going to be close to things. It should just turn it off straight away. There is a button just here anyway you can turn off. I mean, it is good that it still has parking sensors even with the bull bar on the front, so that's kind of a good thing about going with a genuine accessory, I guess. Although aftermarket systems offer similar sort of setups with the parking sensors and everything, so it's not impossible. It's just a few years ago, once you fit aftermarket stuff, you kind of lose some of that technology. I feel like some of these moguls are getting deeper and deeper, which is causing more diagonal stress on the entire system, but we're going up okay. A bit of wheel spin, but not too bad. I'm just touching the throttle. I'm not feeding in too much power and causing it to spin the wheels excessively. It's starting to drift a bit sideways now, but yeah, we got up there. It would definitely help from all-terrain tires though, obviously, especially in the wet. I've taken a D-Max up here in the dry with the standard highway terrain tires and it had no problem, especially with the rough terrain mode. But yeah, as you can see, it's just slipping a fair bit because the tires just can't claw into the ground. Even so, I think that's pretty awesome performance for a standard out-of-the-box 4x4 dual cab ute with highway terrain tires. That's, yeah, very challenging conditions and it's very steep. It might not look like it on camera, but we're kind of quite high up there. You can see we've got a bit of a view happening, but it's just much steeper than it looks on camera. So to be able to claw its way up that very slippery surface, I reckon if I walked down there I would slip over, just how slippery it is and just how steep it is. Even sometimes I've slipped over in the dry just because the rocks are like ball bearings and you just slide. Whereas in the wet, that will be very, very slippery. You can see it's kind of a clay surface on the top, a top layer, and then it just sort of shears with the dry layer underneath. And you can see the tires are completely covered in dirt as well. All right, let's go out now and do the performance test back with the GT model. I thought I'd do the performance test with the GT model because it's not weighed down by the bull bar.